Hello.
Hello. I added the video because I've seen a lot of faces on the screen all of a sudden, and I understood that the video was a better option, I think.
Oh my goodness, you got your hair's short.
Yeah, that's true. Compared to last time, there is a bit of a change.
Yeah.
You had a keen eye.
Yeah, it was, we were in the thick of COVID when we spoke last. I think it was like really in the like thick of it. I think it was 2020, maybe 2021. I don't know.
It was over a year. It was over a year ago. It was in April 2021.
Basically, we will keep this like, and we'll keep this, reasonable time, but everybody is super excited to speak with you, and everybody's got their questions. And I believe, you probably know a couple of people here, but if everybody, there we go. This is, so I don't know how can we go in round robin and have people introduce themselves? We'll just start with Alison and then we'll work down to the right.
Maybe everyone introduce and then just keep picking the next one just to keep it organized.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I think this is the episode which we have a lot of people, the most people in, right? So first and foremost, I am Alison. It's a great pleasure to meet you. You are, I think, together with Greg, the first artist we have here on the podcast, and I'm really excited. Is that an introduction? I just forgot. I'm fanning out. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Why don't you pick somebody else to do their introduction?
Oh, there you go. Then. Well, I guess Thiago needs to introduce himself. I'm gonna pick Thiago because he's been talking about this for a lot. Go on, Thiago.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited and anxious now because oh my God, I don't know how to say that, but okay. I'm a content creator since 2016, yes. Yes, 2016. And I started to collect Magali Villeneuve's cards since the beginning. Since I came back to play Magic the Gathering, and that is it. I'm very nervous. I'm sorry, guys.
Don't be.
It's okay. And then I'll pick for. Oh, it's okay. No, he's like, this is so cute. I'll pick Meg. Meg, do you want to go next? Oh, I think she's muted. Meg, you're muted.
I'm still muted. Okay, I'm still muted. Okay. Guys, I'm very happy to be here. My name is Meg. I'm a content creator of sorts since 2014, basically, because of my PhD. But does academic research count as content production? Anyway, I have a lore thing in Brazil called Planinauta, and I'm very happy to be here because Magali is one of my favorite artists of Magic, one of my favorite artists overall because of the Game of Thrones books. So I am kind of starstruck. I think that's the word everybody's looking for today. Yeah. Starstruck.
Yeah.
Okay. And I am going to invite my back when Planinauta was a vodcast. I'm going to invite my co-star, Fanny, to introduce herself. I miss you so much, baby.
So you guys have I think you know each other a little bit, right? Magali, right?
A little bit. My name is Fanny. I try to be an illustrator, but I'm a cosplayer. I cosplay for Wizards of the Coast a little times, and I am a huge, enormous, and biggest, and whatever fan of Magali. Magali knows that.
I do. I love you.
I love you too. And I think that's it.
Greg, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, okay. My name is Greg, and I'm an illustrator from Poland. I do fantastic and horror art since 2013. And when I started, Magali, you were a star back then. It was a big inspiration. And when Alper told me about this, I strangled him to let me hear. So I'm very honored to be here, and it's great.
And then last but not least, we have Duda.
Hello, I'm Duda. I'm from Brazil too. I don't know if the Brazilians said that they are Brazilians, but there are a lot of Brazilians here. I am a podcaster for Magic since 2018. I used to do live streams, Commander live streams with Maggie also. And now I am making content on TikTok, and I'm really happy to be here. I think that the point of being one of the greatest of Magic is you open Scryfall and you go to the artist search, and it's the example there, it's Magali. So I think that's the peak.
So you so kind of just want to hide behind my
come back.
And so, I mean, Magali, you got to get used to it. You're a star. It's just how it works. I mean, like, you know, like you can't control it. It's how it works. Okay. So, I feel like everybody has their questions. So if, I will leave the floor open to the first person who wants to ask something to our guest of honor, and don't be shy, Magali. Now you're gonna make everybody else shy. So, okay.
No, please don't be, because if you are shy, I'm going to be shy too, and it's going to go.
No, I'm not shy. Not shy at all. Absolutely not. Everybody stop being shy at this very moment, or I will we'll have words. We'll have words. But does anybody want to start?
Sure.
Alison? Okay.
Very well. Ever since we had the confirmation that you were going to be in, right, we've just been like debating and talking about the artworks and the many pieces that you can make. The way that you managed to look every single character so well placed, and also every single card that should not exactly, it doesn't shine a lot, but for example, like Ballot Broker, every single card like that, every single character that you present has a great characterization, you know, a very recognizable silhouette. And I think one of the pieces that you put out for the secret layer, right? I think it was the Death Shadow.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Yeah, the artist series. And we were arguing back and forth, especially on Death Shadow.
We weren't arguing.
No, sorry, that's not the right word. We were debating about it.
We were fist fighting each other.
Yeah, basically via internet. We were sending virtual punches. And we saw it, and it is such an amazing piece of illustration because I think it folded in many layers to us, especially in like the inspiration from Pietà, which is that the statue, the web of the spider that kind of looks like shattered glass and everything. And we were debating like of what was the inspiration and what exactly like this death the personality looks like, because we can see that her face is covered by what appears to be this shadowy veil.
It's like a shroud, but also there is sort of like, you get the notion that she's definitely a woman, but we wondered, like, on the face, there seems to be like almost like a morphing of going on, that maybe it can go in between like male features and female features. Was that something that was done, or was it, I mean, because what was the inspiration for sort of like the wood and the death shroud? How did you get that texture?
Even for me, this illustration has many inspiration layers. First of all, of course, I'm really attached to classical art. That's something I really like. I would even say that it's my main source of inspiration for my work. You know, I'm much more inspired by classical art than by other fantasy illustrators. You know, that's more, and it's also where I come from as far as my personal culture is about. So first of all, I really wanted my artist series to show this love I have for classical art. So that's the first thing. Also, you are right. I really wanted at first sight this character to look like a woman. You can see it in her body that she looks like a woman. Mm-hmm. But I wanted her mask to be, you cannot really tell. that's man or woman or
nice.
That's really something I did on purpose, because for me, death is hard to, you can't really tell who death is and where it comes from. So it was important for me to show that too. And also there is something very personal in this piece for me. At the time when I worked on my artist series, I was mourning a very close family member. And, it's not really like me I won't be the type of artist who's going to tell you that in each of my pieces, there is a lot of meaning or a lot of personal stuff. I don't need that to create my illustrations. But, the artist series was something really special for me, because for the first time in my magic career, but also for the first time in 15 years of professional career as an illustrator, it was an occasion for me to do the closest thing to personal work. Because since I started as a pro, I don't have time anymore for my personal art, which is really sad and which I'm trying to solve as a problem, because for me it's becoming a problem for me a little.
Yeah, it blocks you up. Like it's tough.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating at times, because it's every artist feels sometimes a need to do something really personal, and I don't have time for that. So on one hand, it's really cool because it proves that I have work, but on the other hand, well, whatever. And in this artist series, it was really wonderful because the Wizards art director just told me, do whatever you like. Okay. It was a complete freedom. And so, yes, in the Death Shadow, I really wanted to keep, to keep something from that moment of my life that was, on one hand, a very sad moment, and on the other hand, other cool things were happening. And also I said, okay, let's put some meaning in that piece and keep it forever. And sometimes it's strange because in all the 4 illustrations from the artist series, I really had the feeling that this Death Shadow was the one people and players noticed the most, the one that seemed to have the most impact on the audience, which made me so happy, because it was important for me. I didn't want to really explain that each time I was posting about the piece. I really wanted, and also I was really careful about not giving away too much of my own approach for that piece, because my main interest is to let people imagine whatever they want. If that piece is bringing that type of feeling for you, you are right. It's not only my version that matters. Your version, your interpretation is just as important for me. So I really wanted people, because I received lots of questions, because people were debating about the piece. And in the very first weeks, after I showed the illustration, I didn't clearly answer the questions, because I really wanted people to, the illustration is for you now. It's not just mine. So
yeah, it feels like there is a great, because you could argue it could be a very loving presence. It could be a presence that's scary. There's really no one way to go with.
Yeah, it clearly shows what appears to be like a piece in this person dying. It shows like as a peaceful thing, and that's kind of not common to see in a black card, especially like such a powerful black card that is Death Shadow, right? And
but there is still an aspect of violence to it. It could be argued that it is still mythical. It is still scary sometimes, but like you can just, like, as I say, you can define the face, right? You can identify, you can pinpoint. And do you, like, when you were like working on it now, like you did that other version that you decided not to go with, but like, how do you design, like, where did this design idea come up? Like the one version of death versus the other, like where do you get the inspiration from something as esoteric as that?
You know, I'm really not trying to sound cool when I'm saying that, but I cannot really
cool.
tell. It's just what came to my mind at that moment. That's just the way, you know, if I were working on the very same illustration today, probably it would be completely different. What I can say is that in the whole series of 4 illustrations, the Death Shadow was probably in the top 2 of the ones that came the most easily to me. Like, I really made the 2 different thumbnails super quickly. And I'm mentioning that because I'm really a very slow illustrator.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I'm not the type of illustrator who's gonna produce an illustration in like 10 or 15 hours. That doesn't happen to me. I think, you know, it can be explained when you are looking at the details I'm putting in my illustrations. You know, everything is really refined, even if you are zooming in very close. So
you do put out a lot, though. I mean, just even though, you know, you're very prolific.
Yeah, because I think someday I'm gonna die from working. This is going to happen, you know. Yeah, I'm working a lot to compensate the fact that I'm not super fast. So yeah.
Really? Oh well, but even now you can't, like, you're. I mean, you have arrived. You are good. I mean, can you start to chill out a little bit and sort of, you know, maybe give yourself a little more like Mag's time, like if that
maybe that's something we can talk about later. But you are also completely right in that it became pretty recently. It started to become a real problem as far as my physical state was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, at some point you have to, you know, to sit back and think about what you are doing, and maybe you are not doing very reasonable things for yourself. So,
right.
But it came almost too late for me. I was really at some point about to explode in the air when I started to realize that maybe there was another way to deal with my career. So yeah.
I mean, is it scary? And does anybody else have any questions, by the way? Because I mean, I want people to feel free, because I don't want this to just be like me just pecking. So does anybody have a question? Meg, it looks like
I want to jump in, because that was the question that I had thought about asking Magali. How long does your process take for a whole piece? Because it's something that I've been joking with Magali for a while on Twitter, that everybody has such fantastic hair, or
beautiful
fins, for that matter. In every piece by Magali, I'm going over them on Scryfall right now, and even the bald guys they're fabulous in their own way. And fabric and hair, everything flows. There's such wind, you know.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, how long do you take? What's your process?
How much hours?
when everything goes well, that is when I'm not spending 2 days trying to solve a composition. When everything goes well, it takes me about 10 hours for a sketch phase. So that's, you know, that includes costume design and, you know, everything about the composition. When I'm sending my sketches to Wizards of the Coast, it's already very detailed. I'm not really able to do very simple things. Maybe it would be good for me to learn to go to the, you know, to what's important to show, and not, you know, going straight to a lot of details and a lot of, you know, but it just seems that I cannot figure my illustrations out if I'm not, you know, already solving a lot of problems beforehand and before, because also, you know, I'm really aware that the Wizards art directors are very busy, and what I'm aiming at is to, you know, to save their time too. That is showing them something where they can immediately see what it's going to be about and what it's going to look like. I don't want them to have, you know, to receive the final piece and to go, whoa, that's not how the character was looking at first, and that's not what we were expecting, and that lighting is not what I was expecting, you know, because it's a really intense process to be working for Magic, because it keeps going and going and going all the time. So I really also want to, I try to help my art directors as much as I can, showing them something, you know, really where they can really see where it's going. So this phase is like, yeah, a good 10 hours. And after that, when I receive the approval, it's like, yeah, so it's color phase. Color phase is really long for me. You know, if we were to mention famous examples, for example, the Chandra Torch of Defiance is a really big piece. I think it showed that there is a lot going on as far as details are concerned, when you can see, you know, our scale, mail and all. It's and
a lot of details, yeah.
This one took between, I think, 40 to 45 hours just for a color phase.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And you know what? I get the feeling that the more time goes and the more time it takes sometimes, especially for planeswalkers and legendaries, like, which is what I'm working on most of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you know, for me, spells and things like that are a bit more relaxing, but I'm not working on a lot of spells.
Wait, so you mean, when you say spells, you mean like the effects that you do, like the effects of like the spells, like when they're like...
You know, I mean the type of cards.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Enchantments, sorceries, instants.
Well, because I know that a lot of artists have said that it's really difficult to do the magic effects when they're painting, like that's one of the things that they found the most challenging. And you do a lot of that, you know, like in Chandra, like the fire, for instance, like... Well,
you know, fire is okay.
Okay, fire's okay.
Fire is something, you know, I'm really enjoying. It's a lot of fun for me. I really found my own way to paint fire. So fire is okay. But that's it. I mean, all other type of effects is really something I find really hard to deal with. Yeah. And, you know, Magic the Gathering is about magic. So most of the time you have to include magical effects, and sometimes you even have to create the effect when it doesn't exist at first, when you don't have the reference. You just know that, you know, this one is a blue mage, so let's try to have a blue magic things floating around and all. And that's really something that's not easy, because when you are thinking about a card, you have to remember that's going to be super small at the end, and it still has to be readable. So, you know, the effect cannot take too much space, and the character still has to exist, and other thing. Really, that's a lot of things to think about. So, yeah.
Did you use layer effects for do the magics? Because a lot of people paint the magic, but did you use layer effects?
Actually, I use layers, but I'm painting the layers. That is, I'm not using a
overlay and
I'm not using, for example, a photograph of fire and then put it on a layer in Photoshop. That's not how I'm doing that. I'm not going to be too technical here, but to explain a little, when I'm painting fire, I'm using a new layer in Photoshop, and I'm painting all black, pure black and then I'm painting fire on top of it. And then I'm using a layer, how is it called? A layer effect to give transparency.
Blending mode.
Okay.
And thanks to the black background, it's completely transparent at the end which gives this very airy effect of the fire I'm painting. I'm using the same technique for a lot of magical effects, actually.
This helps a lot.
Things like
Wow,
that, or even water, things like. I'm using the very same technique. It works really well. You should use it. You know.
Wow. So that's how you get that really that see-through diaphanous effect.
Yes. And
so cool.
Also it's easier to control because what I'm doing is that when I have to, to include fire or water or sparks or whatever on my illustrations, I'm really careful because, once it's painted on the same layer as the rest of the illustration, you have to paint everything again if you're not happy with the effect. So what I'm doing is that I'm doing the whole illustration first, and then at the end, I'm working on the magical effect, whether it be fire or whatever. This way I can control what I'm doing, and I can save it for later if I'm not happy with what came. So
do you, I wanted to know, just because I love to ask this, like, do you know when it became apparent to you that you had gone from being just a workaday artist to now you're Magali? Like, when were you aware of your own effect on the audience? Like, was there a particular time where you were out and about or at an event and all of a sudden the lines were forming? What was the first time for you that you realized?
Actually, if I am completely being honest, for me, even today, I really feel like I'm being completely honest here. And I'm really happy about that question because that's something we are not really asked about. But you must remember that, I'm working from home and I'm alone and, I'm just me and I only feel like one out of a lot of illustrators in Magic. So I'm really grateful that I am being assigned such wonderful things. I am aware that I'm really lucky to be getting wonderful characters, really iconic characters sometimes. I'm really grateful that the Magic people trust me for, marketing things, designing boxes, doing concept art for them and all. This is all really fantastic for me, but it never ever comes to my mind the idea to be thinking, yeah, of course, I became so famous, Never. It's impossible for me to think like that because I think it simply is not true. Everyone in this game as an illustrator can be replaced. Everyone, and I think it's very dangerous from an illustrator to start thinking that, okay, I am a star and I'm going to tell you that I am fabulous and I'm going to tell you that I'm so important and to try to, I think it can be dangerous and I think it can lead illustrators on a really bad path, so and I think, I'm not even trying to think like that. It's just that I am aware that I am just one illustrator and there are so many incredible illustrators that are so much better than I will ever be, that, and we're thinking about something else here. I had another thought about that, but I forgot, I think. Oh yeah, but I have a story, and fun story, because, when you decide to be an illustrator, if I really wanted people to know me and to see me, I would have become a singer or an actor. When you decide to be an illustrator, there is a slight chance that maybe you don't want to be seen. So and that really was my case. I really want the people to know my illustrations, but I'm really not interested in people knowing me. So, even today, a lot of people think I am a man, for example. They are not really sure if Magali is for a woman or for a man. they are not sure. And I think it's really funny. And I am not trying to explain that I am a woman, you know, it's okay, think whatever you want, you know, and one day you will find out. So yeah, but we have, there is another part of our job, and this part is called events and, you know, Magic Fest, things like that. And when I started in my very, very first Magic Fest, that was a GP back then, because, you know, I am a really old illustrator.
Oh, stop.
We miss GPs.
It's easier to pronounce for me.
You've been in 10 years now, 10 years doing art for Magic?
Yeah, 10 years.
That's awesome.
And back then, for my very first GP, it was back in the days where I painted my first Narset. And it was a GP in France, which was super convenient. And I still remember, you know, I arrived, you know, completely pure. I knew nothing about, you know, magic and players and what players wanted. And also I arrived, a big mistake with one pen, black.
Oh no.
Huge mistake. Because I spent the whole weekend telling people, no, I don't have gold. No, I don't have red. And players were just like, what? Yeah. And I remember there was this really super kind guy who, I think it was on Sunday, he arrived in the morning and he had bought for me a little collection of pens, you know, a gold, a silver, and, you know, main colors and all, because your life is going to be easier this way. It was so kind. But, you know, back then, there was not a lot of people waiting at my table. And I remember a few events later, things started to go bigger and bigger. And it was a GP in Paris this time. And I remember I arrived to, you know, at my table on day one, and people were waiting. What are they waiting for? I think it's your table here. And I was so, I mean, I was so shocked because I didn't understand what was going on, you know, that, you know, I spent the whole weekend like in a, you know, in a strange bubble, you know. I mean, it was so many people and, you know, the line was never stopping. And I was like, what's happening? And I think that at some point on Sunday, something just clicked in my mind. I'm not lying, that's how it happened. My husband can tell you the very same story. I just stood and I walked away from my table and I went to the restroom, locked myself in the restroom and just fell asleep.
Oh no. That is so, like, that's because it must have been exhausting. It could be like thrown into that.
It was like a state of shock, something like that.
Yeah, and you're just like, excuse me.
20 minutes later, I just like, whoop, oh, where I am, what's going on? And my husband was looking for me everywhere. What's going on?
Oh my God.
Because being an illustrator didn't mean having a lot of people, that many people waiting for a signature. For me, it was a completely different world because you have to remember that I really started so tiny when I started like 15 years ago. I mean, I am a self-taught artist first. You don't arrive here with a lot of self-confidence when you never took an art class and never went to art school. Something's missing to your self-confidence. And I really started in the tiniest areas of publishing in France. And, you know, my career was really one step after another, year after year, like that. So when things started to become, you know, huge, at least to my eyes in magic, I was really not prepared. For me, it was like it was not true. And even today, when I'm going to an event, and I'm always blessed with lots of people waiting and being so patient, because sometimes they are waiting for like 2 hours, I mean, for a signature. I mean, always thinking, is this real life? I'm always amazed, you know, it's beyond any dream I could have made. So yeah, I'm really lucky.
Isn't it funny when you are walking on the sidewalk and you are nobody for everybody in the streets, and you enter in the convention center and suddenly everybody knows you?
Well, at least when you are sitting at your table.
Okay.
I can really easily walk in the alley of convention center. That's not a problem at all. But yeah, never. But you know, once you are sitting, all eyes are just like, oh, it's Magali. So yeah, that's a really
because
fun.
It happens with YouTubers, so, and we are really friends of YouTubers like Thiago and Fanny used to be
Thiago. Okay. Anyone is fan of Thiago?
Yeah, and when and we are just talking casually, and when we enter in the convention center, everybody is looking at us, and it's funny. And I was thinking about this because you said that illustrating is an anonymous job. You don't think about being recognized, and suddenly you are in a place where everybody knows lonely. At least your name. And
you must be... You're never really prepared to that. But I think that, you know, content creators like YouTubers or things like that are most likely to be recognized, actually, because they have to show themselves at some point, which is really brave, I think. That's something I really could not do, you know. I like to hide behind my illustrations as much as I can. So I think it takes a lot of courage for a content creator to show their face. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that I crave it. It's almost it's a sickness. Like, I wear a glitter jumpsuit when I go out. Like, that's how much I want people to pay attention to me. So it's like, I mean,
finally somebody said it. I also crave it.
Yeah. It's normal. It's very different, I think, from being an artist, because I'm so not like, if I don't have an eye on me, I'm like, what's happening? So, you know, that's sort of how I am. I don't know about you guys, but it definitely got a little bit of the like, look at me syndrome going on.
I do.
Me and Meg
I do.
Are cosplayers.
Yeah.
You have to play the game, you know, when you are, you know, cosplaying, because of course people are going to look at you, and you have to, you know, if you are coming to an event in a wonderful cosplay to hide, I mean, what's the point?
It's can I ask you about Mina Harker? I love Mina. Now that's like, how many Thalias now is it that's been, because technically she's a Thalia, right? So it's like, I think 5, 6 of them, is it?
Yeah, something like that, maybe. Yes.
Yeah. What was it about Mina? Because I know I read that you said that you really had a lot of fun doing it. What was about that particular piece that was so much fun? What was?
Because the story behind that? Just pure comfort zone for me. I mean, you know, it's a very, again, classical looking piece, you know, with really mute color range, with, you know, beautiful black lady costume design, hair. And yeah, so that was, for me, it was, you know, just one of these illustrations where everything goes so smoothly and there's no problem, you know, there's no complication in the way, which is really doesn't happen that often. I really loved doing that. And it was, again, maybe I'm going to repeat that word a lot, but it was such an honor for me to be part of, you know, it was a Thalia again, like, kind of. And I really
it's a version of it.
It's a really important card for me, and you know, it was a pretty little set. This the Dracula one, so you know, being chosen to have an illustration was wonderful. It was great, and Mina is a beautiful character.
She's a great character. I wonder what was if we're talking about as like far as difficulty goes, do you have a piece that was like the most difficult from like as far as like doing that from start to finish that gave you the most challenge? Which piece would you say that
it is still to come? It is coming.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh God.
Like that attitude.
Oh God, we're not ready.
That was an answer.
Yeah,
That
we're
was
not
an
ready
answer.
for this. We're not ready for this.
Yeah, everyone's like,
I can tell you one thing about it. It is a planeswalker.
okay.
Oh
my God.
It was the toughest time of my life, this one. But
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Please
Oh,
let us
wow.
know when it's out.
Oh, that was an answer. That was an answer. I got nothing. Anybody else want to talk? Because I mean, I could walk out. I'm happy.
That's it. Interview done. If I may do a follow-up question, you comment on Nina Harker and how easy she was for you to do, and going back to your original answer on how long some of those pieces take, right? How easy was Death Shadow for you to do, and how long do you usually take on the sketching and on the painting phase? How do you think the description, like how do you think like maybe a character, an acknowledged character in the Magic IP, like how would that would take longer? How that would take less? How do the artist? What's the name of the document that is handed to you?
The brief.
With the, yeah.
briefing.
How do the artist
Okay.
brief like changes your process according to how long it takes? Or for example, Nina Harker being like a character that despite the artist brief being lengthy or not, you knock it out of the way like easily.
in general, the bright side of the art brief we are receiving is that they are pretty short, because I think that whoever is writing these art briefs are aware that we know our thing, and it tends to give us a lot of freedom, I think. When we really have to pay attention to likeness or something like that, of course, we are being given a precise reference. For example, nowadays, you cannot just paint Chandra the way you want it. You have to pay attention to how she looks, and you have to be as close as possible to what she looks in general, you know. But, you know, on a piece like Nina Harker, for example, it was a lot of freedom. There was no reference. She had not been designed at first. They were counting on me, which is happening most of the time with legendaries, I think. We are, at worst, we are being given one or two examples in the world guide as far as, you know, that type of costume, but that doesn't mean we have to do the very same costume. On the contrary, they want us to take inspiration, but to create something new on top of the inspiration, which is, you know, really, really, really cool. And sometimes, you know, I tend to blame myself for being not adventurous enough, to be honest, with my illustrations, because I am so concerned about the brief. I really wanted to stay so close to what they are asking that sometimes I'm telling myself, maybe you could try something more, you know, you could. So that's something I am trying to do more and more lately. I mean, something like the past 2 years, I've been trying to do more, to add more of my personal ideas and personal vision of a card. That was something I really did not dare before that, because, you know, I think that I never lost sight, and I'm still never losing sight of, oh my God, I'm working for Magic. And that's something so huge for me, even after 10 years. Yes, it's still really huge, that sometimes maybe I'm forgetting that the art directors are actually giving us a lot of freedom, because you can see it from, you know, there are so many different artists in Magic and so many different styles, and some of them really have a unique thing going on. But that's because they are not shy, you know, they are just doing their thing, you know, and it still fits in the card and it still fits the mechanics. So yes, it can work. And that type of artists are really great examples for me. They are also inspirations that they show me that you can really have your personal thing going on and still be, you know, a good artist for the game itself.
Would you say this personal freedom that is being given to you, or you realizing that you can like have this freedom to do your own thing and dare new stuff, would you say that is made do some of this illustration or this idea of you with the work that you were being handed maybe lighter or maybe more enjoyable in a sense?
Yeah, yes. Because I remember it was back in the days when I was working for Fantasy Flight Games. I had this art director who became a friend after that. She's called Zoe Robinson, and she brought a lot to me as an artist. And one day she told me, okay, you are never you are the best when you just let your hair down. And I really liked that the way she was trying to explain, okay, stop thinking and stop, you know, thinking about, oh, am I going to be good enough? Is my illustrations good enough? Is, you know, stop thinking about that and just do your thing. And
the flow.
It's something I'm still working on right now. But, you know, I think it's really the self-taught thing going on and the imposter syndrome thing going on, like so many artists, you know. So, yes, but I'm, you know, I'm working on that because, yes, I think you know, life is going to be lighter when I just start to just purely enjoy the job and, you know, not trying to asking too many questions to myself.
That again, it blows my mind. But I mean, even when I've talked to Greg about this, like it's so common amongst all of you artists, like the imposter syndrome. It doesn't seem like success does not care. It doesn't leave you alone, no matter what happens. That's so mind blowing to me, because as a viewer, it is hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that you guys cannot see the same things that I'm seeing. But that boggles me. I wish you guys could just see it through our eyes for just like a second, just to be like, okay, that's how we actually.
No, I think Greg could say the same thing. I think that whenever an illustration is being released, we only can remember the things we could have done better.
Yeah. That's true.
Do you agree with that, Greg? Please tell me you agree with that.
I totally agree. It's like every single time my art like hits the print, I see, well, this is fucked up. I really should have done this and this. But on the other side, it makes me want to learn on that and like do better next time. Like, I wonder if imposter syndrome and doubting yourself ever goes away with time.
Maybe it keeps you guys, maybe that's why you're so great, is because you have that part of you that is always trying to get better, and maybe that is the necessary part of being an artist. Is that
I really do deeply believe that the moment when you stop doubting, that's the end, I think.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with doubt, you're getting as Greg is explaining, you want to be always better and you always want to bring something more. And when you stop that, I mean, where is the inspiration? Where is the reason to go on, you know? Because everything's done if you are such a rock star, you know?
Yeah. And I was talking to Brian Wackowitz, who was, you know, the early Magic artists. He said the thing that happened to a lot of them was because the game got so big so fast, they all became like famous. And he said that they were so arrogant, and he thought that was one of the things that was, you know, they had to learn about. And that's interesting you say that. One thing that I would like to ask you, I want to ask, does anybody else have any questions? Thiago, you got to have one question. I mean, you've got to. This guy's a super fan.
Show yourself, Thiago. Show yourself.
Actually, you asked something very similar to what I was wanting to ask that was about the when she realized that she was so important to MTG fans. But after all she said about the years she's illustrating for Magic and the many characters, the many important characters she illustrated for Magic, planeswalkers, legendary creatures. Do you have a favorite one, a favorite character, not illustration, a character?
I have many. Because you cannot spend that much time around these characters and this game and not getting attached to some of them. I think that two of them are really special because they bring me back to the days when I really was not an illustrator, when I was dreaming of being an illustrator, namely Chandra and Jace, because I remember admiring those designs so long ago, because in the very early years when they appeared in the game, I was thinking, oh my God, it was back then so different, so modern, such an incredible and new approach to fantasy. I was like, oh my God, that pure genius. And I still believe that whenever I am painting these characters, I mean, these designs are so iconic forever. They are wonderful. And when I still remember the day when I was assigned my torch of Defiance. I still remember it so clearly, that because it was like, once again, is this real life moment? I mean, this character you admired in a moment when you were ages from imagining that you could become a professional illustrator, and even more ages away from imagining that you could work for Magic. And then this card just drops in your inbox. I just, oh my God, that's, I think my illustration career is full of that type of moments. That's really something I just cannot still quite process right now. So yeah, these ones, Chandra and Jace, are really special. I love them because I think they are beautiful, but they represent so many things in my evolution. So yeah.
I would like to know if you have maybe changed your point of view, because I think I remember reading, I wasn't sure if I asked you if I read this, but you felt like monsters or things along those lines were not something that you were comfortable with. Now, I love your Thalia where she is just taken out Brazil, just like she's in the thick of the fight, and you don't see a lot of that. Your characters are very like demure, they're very poised, but that one she's going for it. Do you think that you could do? I mean, I think you could do an Emrakul. Do you feel like maybe you've started to walk into that territory and you're a little more comfortable with it?
I have a good example for that. Because sometimes there is an art director at Wizards of the Coast for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's Monday or maybe they are drunk, and then they decide to assign something. Why me? I remember I had that type of feeling when I've been assigned the key art for Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. Mm-hmm. It's Dritz against a dragon. I mean, a dragon.
You killed it.
I mean, yeah, but why? Because I keep asking, because the art director, she was not completely honest. She first wrote and she told me, there is this illustration of yours for the Lord of the Rings, the game from Fantasy Flight Games. It is showing Glorfindel. And she told me, oh my God, your Glorfindel is so wonderful and you would be perfect for Dritz. Yes, Dritz is okay. He is comfort zone. But she didn't tell me that there was mainly this huge dragon going on. And then I received the brief. It was a tiny Dritz going on and then a big dragon. I said, why? Why me? And sometimes in Magic, I have that type of moment when I'm wondering why asking me that when you have, like, I don't know, maybe Chris Rand, who is wonderful at dragons, or whoever, but I am not. But sometimes, they go crazy and I am doing that. To be completely honest, it's always challenging / stressful for me to do that, because I really still don't feel now that I am the best for that type of work. But I'm always doing my very best to, because I really didn't want my key art. I mean, key art means everybody's gonna see that illustration at first and in the shops, and also you really don't want to, to mess up with that illustration. So I really gave everything I had to make it look as cool as possible, but it's really not my comfort zone, even now, and even with the experience I have.
I mean, sorry, but you knocked it out of the park. I will say you knocked it out of the park. I mean, like I thought, okay, wow, she seems to be doing fine because you got the key art and then the giant dragon. I thought, all right, she nipped that one, and it turns out
you're suffering.
But I see that, like, for example, for the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, right? There was already like a Niv Mizzet in the background. Did the artist briefing of Niv Mizzet and the whole World Book Guide made that illustration of the dragon and the fact that he's in the background easily to deliver, or was that like the same challenge that you had?
It is a little better. It is a little better, but it's still a dragon. It's still a creature, a monster, or whatever. So it's never easy. Which seems to be weird because, she can paint these very complicated characters and all, and she cannot paint a dragon. It's it's just another world for me.
But it's almost a merfolk.
Yeah.
It's almost.
Kind of. But, that's too much neck and too many legs. That makes sense for me.
Yeah, Niv Mizzet could get into the beta fish kind of feel, right?
Yeah, he
With
guess he
all
does.
The reds and blues. He looks like a beta fish.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I guess he could. Oh, Niv. Well, we're drawing to close. I don't want to keep you forever because I know it's late where you are, but I will bring it down to close. Does anybody have any final questions for our very special, very great at doing dragons, by the way?
Yes, feel free.
Pick me. It's not a question for Magali. Actually, it's a question for the rest of the podcast today. I want to ask you to pick a favorite.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, man. I was going to ask that, but I thought I'm not that cruel. And now okay. All right. Who wants to go
first? Leave
it
to me to be the cruel one. I'll go first. Because I actually,
you prepped into your head. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll give you time to think then. But my favorite Magali art is Liliana.
As expected.
Very specifically the one that was made into a 3D model.
Oh yeah. That was
in the exchange for Brazilian reais, I could buy a car if I bought, instead of buying the Liliana.
Yep.
And we were discussing this among some of the content creators and stuff. It is like a house renovation. It's a car. But everybody drools over them so much. And that Liliana is my favorite because I'm a huge Liliana fan. I mean, hello. But that one it knocks it out of the park. It has the hair, it has the magic, it has the flowing dress. Everything flows. It looks like she's underwater for that matter. And it's so good. But I'm a huge fan of Magali since the first Narset. It's insane.
I'm taking
it. I guess I'll go. This might sound strange, but I believe it or not, the Thalia from Crimson Vow I think might be my favorite because of just the there's such a history with Thalia, and you have such an intimate connection with her, and the way that she's just standing there, and you can tell she's been through it. Like she's been knocked up, not knocked up, bad phrasing, but just knocked around, and she is clearly not going to stop. She's got this resolution in her eyes, and I love the fact that she has her back turned to the zombies, and she just is so not. She's not afraid. And that was it for me. I was like, there is just such strength in that character by just like standing.
About that one, that's one of the cards when I allowed myself some freedom, because when I received the brief, it was about really showing her as a hero, just a badass moment of Thalia. And it was really a personal choice. I really wanted it to be a little more than that, because I was imagining that she could be exhausted from all the fight, but she was still, staying strong no matter the cost for her. For me, that's the definition, that's how you define a true hero. And for me, a true hero is not a hero 24/7. A hero can be tired and can be exhausted and just wants it to stop at some point. And I really, after painting Thalia again, 1, 2, 3 times, I really wanted this one to have something more, like she aged a bit, like I did through the years working for Magic. Not to say that I am tired and I want it to stop, but to show that, a more adult approach maybe of what a fantasy hero can be. So I was really happy, because there was a lot of funny comments when the card was released, and people were saying, okay, you can really tell that she had enough of all that shit. And that's really what I wanted to express here. And that's one of these moments when I, strayed a little away from the art brief, but everybody seemed to be okay with that.
That was a chef kiss moment as far as I'm concerned. Like, just having her, like, she was so human and just so human, which
and this is something that, for at least for lore fans, it's so juicy to have a plane being revisited and seeing the characters evolve. They don't look the same every time. Not even Niv Mizzet looks the same every time. And he's 15,000 years old, I mean.
And so who's next on the chopping block?
I may go.
Go on, Duda.
My pick is a little odd, because I love the Mold Drifter from Secret Lair, where you painted over the children's.
Yes.
The children's
it is so adorable.
draw. It's adorable, because you made it so cool, the way that you interpreted the drawing. I love it. I love all that Secret Lair, but this stands higher than the others for me. I really love it.
Yeah, and that's also a good example for me. It was the very same thing as painting like a monster or a creature. I am really not good, I think, at doing cute things. So it was really a challenge, this one too. That was a lot of fun, because you also had to stick to the child's composition. You could not just change the composition. You had to be able to recognize the child's drawing with the final illustration. We really had to respect that. And that was a lot of fun, but it really didn't go smoothly, that one. I had to, especially the Mold Drifter's face, I painted it like a good 4 or 5 different times before I came up to something that was not looking weird or scary. You didn't want it to look scary. I gotta say that my favorite part is, I hope you will know who it is. My favorite part is Bob in this illustration. Who is Bob? Bob is the snail. Yes, it is the most joyful snail in the whole snail history. And I really love Bob. I mean, I have 2 Bobs in my Magic career. There is a Bob who is a snail in the Mold Drifter, and there is a Bob who is a zombie in the Liliana, the card.
Waker of the Dead, or no?
in Liliana, yeah, it is a zombie. This zombie who is just, you know, you can only see the top of his head going out of the water. And he looks like, you know, notice me, Liliana, I love you. So
oh my God. Oh, that's great. Oh my goodness.
Find that.
Yeah, I'm looking. So who's next? I must force the next one. So let's see. Fanny, would you like to? Yes.
I think it's obvious, no?
Oh, come on. You can do it.
If I can say Sarah, Magali is pick me.
No, of course. And
they were, and this is super sweet because Fanny's channel was called Anjo Serra, for the Sarah Angel. And when Sarah was announced, and we were all fans of Magali already, so Sarah was announced. It was a Magali art piece, and it was actually Sarah because she had never appeared as a Planeswalker card. And we were all kind of together online, and everybody was expecting to see how Fanny would react, because it was like, this is so on her brand that we were like, oh my God, Fanny is going to lose it. You know?
and
then I'm not crying.
When I worked on the Sarah was really a milestone for me. Because I got to create to redesign the character, because she appeared in a pretty old card. You could not clearly make out the costuming and all, and it was about giving her a more modern look, to, you know, really to redesign the character while still keeping one of two key elements from the previous illustration. So this one was really extremely important for me. I really loved this character. I loved everything about the process working on this character. And to be completely honest, when the card was released, I was really hoping there would be cosplays for this illustration in particular. And I really got to say, I'm really not saying that for you, Fanny, to be not at ease or anything, but you really was one of the most beautiful Sarahs, because you were physically so close to
now I'm crying.
Yeah, it was such a believable cosplay at the end that I was really over the moon, because, you know, you could think that it's not big deal maybe for an illustrator to have a cosplay being made, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm pretty sure it is the case for a lot of illustrators. When you create a character and when you spend that much time working on it, and you really want it to look cool, and you want the players to like it and all, and when you can see it, because, you know, seeing someone cosplaying a card, it means a lot. It means that this person really took a decision, that they would spend hours, time, effort, money on, you know, working on your design. It's really not just something that can go unnoticed for me, because I'm aware of what it means. And at the end, I gotta say, the result for your cosplay was so believable and so close to my card that I really, now it's an occasion for me to thank you for real, and thank you for what you did, because maybe the card made you happy, but your work made me so happy. So thank you.
Oh God. I can't talk anymore.
Okay, so I'm going to talk for Fanny, because we were discussing together every step of the way, because as soon as she managed to cool it after seeing Sarah, she started planning that cosplay. Okay, and she was, oh my God, but I just had my hair cut, and it's short now. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to buy a wig, and it has to be a good wig. And I'm like, and I was like, get an extension. Because it would be a little cheaper and everything, and it turned out great in the end. And every step of the way, you know, the fabric choices, everything, I was kind of just helping her brainstorm, you know, and it was, oh, the shoulder is still there. It's so cute. And I've seen it live a few times, and Magali is 120% right. It was absolutely fabulous. It was faithful to everything that Magali put on the screen for us. It was actually perfect, and Fanny did it so fast that we had the GP that year. And some people didn't even know that there was a Sarah card.
No one knows.
Yeah,
and Fanny was really frustrated that event, because they're like,
Sarah,
isn't she an angel? And
no, it's the Planeswalker.
We had to educate the children a few times.
I remember it, and it was like seeing the card coming to the real life, like when we watched Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and that there was like holograms of the cards. It was like when you see Fanny as Sarah.
Yeah,
it was spectacular.
It had to happen, of course. She was made to.
Thank you.
So who's next? I think we got Alison and Greg, and did we get Thiago yet? Did we get Thiago? I don't think we did.
I don't think
Thiago didn't say anything yet.
You're a huge fan. Go on.
Thiago is very quiet. We're gonna. He's gonna.
But I think Thiago's still. I think Thiago's still choosing, because he can't say
no. I'm not. I always when I take my. How did I say folder?
Folder.
Binder. When I take my binder and start to see the wonderful illustrations, I always ask me which one is my favorite. But I know the answer for this question never changes, because I have a favorite character that not a favorite character. My favorite character is Liliana, but my favorite card is Thalia. So when Magali did this new arts for Thalia with Two Coast, I just start to collect all of them, and I play with this card in my commanders, in my modern decks. Now I have a Pioneer, and now I still can play in standard too. So I play with these arts in all of my decks. But my favorite is still being this beautiful Livala.
Yes.
This art, this art, it was the first art of Magali that I was really impressed, and it catch my attention to her work. So I started to collect cards. I started to collect her illustrations because of Livala. So this is my favorite art, and I have this playmat that a friend of mine get her sign
in French, and it is signed in French.
Yes, it is in French. This is a joke with Fanny, because Fanny is
yeah.
Fanny is a big fan, and back then we play with this who was the biggest fan. So when my friend went to, I don't remember what DP was, but it was in 2018. It was in France.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably.
And I asked it.
You know, in 2018, I've been to a lot of GPs, so yeah, it could be anywhere.
Yes, and he asked me, "What do you want? What do you want to be? She to write?" I asked him, "Please tell she to write for my number one Brazilian fan."
I did that.
Oh my God.
You know,
and obviously I am mad with that. Okay,
that's a good occasion for me to say something else too, because here I'm really happy about all the people gathered here, and I'm also happy because there are a lot of people from Brazil. you know, again, I really like the Brazilian community for Magic because, you know, you should not believe, and I think, again, Greg could say that too, a kind comment, a player who is obviously happy about a card, it is a big deal. And what I really love about the Brazilian, for example, community is that they are always so enthusiastic about, you know, you can really feel that there is so much positive energy in the way you guys interact with the artist, always respectful and always, you know, super positive. That is, you know, it's such a big reward for the work we are doing because, you know, you have in the Magic community, and it is completely normal, you have all types of players. You have the players who are 100% about the game, of course, because it's the core thing. And for that type of players, the illustrations are secondary. And you have another type of fans and players, and that's the ones who pay really a lot of attention to the lore and to the illustrations and all. And they are, for us, of course, so gratifying, that type of players and that part of the community, because they really make us feel that we matter as an artist, and that we do bring something to their game. And it's always a big deal because it's you know, we put a lot of effort. For example, that there is one type of comment us artists tend to receive pretty often, and it's always like, it breaks our heart to read that. That's when, you know, when a player goes like, oh yeah, the illustration is cool, but the card sucks. Oh my God, that's not my fault. You know, please, that's my illustration. Don't say the card sucks, even if it's true. And, you know, it's happening so often because, you know, it's like a bit of a cruel world, the Magic world, for that sometimes you put a lot of effort in an illustration, but it can really go completely unnoticed if the card is not powerful enough or playable enough, or, you know. And, you know, I have now more than 100 illustrations in Magic, and except for the people like Thiago or Fanny or others, players like that who really care about the illustrations, some people don't know, I would say, like the third of the illustrations I made for the game, because a lot of my illustrations don't appear on cards that really stayed in the game or that are really played or really powerful. Again, I'm fine with that because that's the game, you know. But it can be frustrating sometimes to, you know, you have the feeling that your 40 hours of work just go like poof, never existed. But it's not completely true, because you still have, you know, people like you guys who make them exist all the same, and you have the cards in your binders, and also, yeah, they didn't really go completely unnoticed. So that's really cool.
Okay, Alison and Greg, it's you. Last two.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll make myself quick, just to not take the time for everyone. And I don't think I can compete with what just happened with Fanny.
That was so beautiful.
No, that was so wholesome. That's just a lovely thing to see, right?
That was beautiful.
I'm so happy it happened.
it just makes everything that we're doing like worth it, right?
I got choked up a little.
In the end, it's Magic ... the Gathering. This is the personification of what we're doing, right? I think many of your pieces, every time you go on a set, you know, year by year, it stays, right? Memories are formed, especially with Magic cards and the artwork. And I think everyone here can say that maybe you didn't pick among us that are here in this call, at least right now, maybe we know that the card is not as powerful, but we just picked it for the art and put it in the command decks because we want it to look pretty, right? We want that artwork because it really, right? It's more important than winning the game. It's like, it's about expression, right? And I think the Death Shadow, I'm just like looking at that card, and the more that I stare at it, it's like an abyss. It stares back at me, and it unfolds before me. And I'm just stunned by it. But I still have to go back to my first Commander deck that I bought. It was the Cats Precon from 2017, right? And on those cards, I got Miri Where the Light Duelist as one of the options. And it was a keystone piece because it was when I started playing the game, I was new to everything about Magic. And that card in particular got me hooked both on the illustrations of Magic, got me knowing like, oh my God, there's a name on the bottom of that card. Who is this illustrator and what, and you know, like, and again, like makes you keep looking at that and choosing better cards because of the illustration. And also got me hooked on the story aspect and the many other aspects. And the more you look at the Magic community in general and the illustrations and all of that, the more it looks back at you. And I think we're all like a testament to that and how amazing this can become, right? How amazing game, how many good connections we're making. So I have to pick Miri.
That's an important thing to say because when you look at for example, social medias and all, you can easily have the feeling that there is a lot of negativity going on about the game, because I have the feeling, maybe it's not true because I don't spend that much time on social media. It's just time for me to, to exchange a little with people and to post things and all, but I don't have a lot of time for that. But I'm always a little, I get the feeling that whenever something new is coming, people at first are never really happy. And of course, I understand that nothing's perfect and this game is not perfect and some aspects of the game are not perfect. But there is also something that shouldn't be forgotten. And it is true for Magic, but it's true for so many things that, there are people working for the game and there are people who are doing their best to make the game as good as possible. Of course, we can always debate about poor marketing decisions or things like that. But of course, it's such a big company. Sometimes these things happen. But I highly doubt that there would be someone involved in the process of creating the cards, the mechanics, the art, and all, who is not completely involved and who is not completely about doing something great and with the hope that people are going to like it at the end. So of course, I don't mean to change the world, but I also, that's why I also wanted to express what I expressed to you guys a few minutes earlier, that it's wonderful to have such positive people who are about having positive interactions about the game, because it's a game. It's something fun and it's something that is made to bring, you some joy, some happiness and all. And it should never be that, uneasy and, to bring that much anger and that much, and people, having fights about things. That it would be wonderful. And especially in the world we are living in, which seems to be like, a very ordinary things to say, but it is really true. There are awful things going on. And could we try to keep beautiful things beautiful? Maybe. Of course, again, nothing's perfect, but it's a game. And it's a game where everyone is trying their best to make it exist. It's true for artists and it's true for creators and writers. And it's also true for content creators and cosplayers and all. Can we have nice things? That's what I tend to think. Yeah.
Agreed.
If I may do just a small comment after that, you may have not changed the world, but there's like 7 people in this call in which your artwork has at least improved. So it could be so improving 7 people's life could be as important or as impactful as changing the world. So thank you.
It has changed our world, I think.
Yeah.
I think we could all agree on that one.
A lot.
Greg?
My life definitely improved.
Yeah, you're the last one.
Right. Let me start by saying that it's not easy to pick one.
Yeah, I know, right?
But if I have to, I would choose Secret Lair's Death's Shadow. And let me tell you why. When I saw it earlier, I had this moment. I recalled one painting by Klimt. I saw it in Vienna a few years back. It was yes. It was,
Oh my God! Okay,
death.
this is how we stop the live here. Goodbye.
No.
Everything is dead.
No.
That's a good
I will keep it short. Anyway, I saw your art and I thought that now the level of art in Magic it kind of outgrew the game art, as you call it. It's like it's the art that is timeless and it should hang on the wall in some museum. And I thought, wow, this should Death Shadow should be hanged like an opposite wall to this Klimt painting, because it tells same story but in a very different way, and it talks to each other. And I really love this kind of art. I myself am mostly impressed by classical art, and I find a lot of these roots in this piece. So that would be for me.
I think what Greg is saying here is very important about Magic. Is I think that what makes Magic especially unique, especially today, I think, is that there is still room for very strong art styles, very adult art styles, and very different art styles. And that's my hope, is that they will keep going that way, that they won't go for a more, how can I say that? I would be sad if at some point the game came to a point when you could not tell anymore who made what,
like homogenous, right?
Yeah, because there are games, pretty cool games, but where you can see that the style has been that maybe the artists are receiving very precise guidelines, so everything looks more or less the same and more or less in the same color range and atmosphere range and all. And I think Magic is like absolutely unique for that, because it still leaves room for artists' real expression. I think that it played a part in how big the game became, in how different the game became. And I really, really hope that it will stay that way, because I really strongly believe that, first of all, Magic has the most, even today, the most modern approach to fantasy as far as how fantasy looks. I always thought that even Magic through the years defined how fantasy would look in the years after, that they were being so advanced, always a step further from the other, approaches to fantasy. And I really hope that this won't get lost, through the years, that they will keep this thing going, because I think that's, at least to my eyes, maybe that's just because I'm an artist and it matters to me, but to me, it's one of the, biggest things in Magic and the most important treasures this game created, I think.
Well said. Well said. I mean, honestly, this could not have been any more wonderful than it has been. I think I speak for everybody when I say this. This has been so great.
Absolutely.
thank you so much. You know, everybody, I'll let everybody say their goodbyes, but this has really been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for having me again.
Oh, yes.
And thank you for all being here and being so kind. It's a lot for little me, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the wonderful art, and keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Yes!
Bye-bye.